Here's the project bag that I made and I'm demoing in the video. The handles are attached to the back and the zipper is encased in the fabric. I will show it on another piece that you can see it a little better because I don't know if I did a good enough job on the video. I attached a little bit of ribbon to make the pulling of the zipper a little easier. So I hope you enjoy the video. Here are a couple of things that you might want to consider. This is an all over quilt design that I did. On this one I did the grid, which takes quite a bit of time, I must say. I was kind of surprised. But this is using different fabrics for the focus or accent fabric and then the binding. So I think whatever you have on hand and you want to use, give it a whirl because nothing has to match. It's just a bag. But I thought this looked kind of cute with the Lori Holt fabric and the sewing theme things, and it's cute. And then here's my other one that I've done in the purple. So same deal, focus fabric on both sides, a handle. Now, one thing that I tried to show in the video, and I don't think it came across perfectly, is that when you're doing the zipper, I'll show it correctly here, the stops are marked and then taken off the backing fabric and stitched down. See, this one is not attached to anything. So the zipper stop has been tacked down on either side. Also, if you notice that the 5-inch strip has been folded in half, that leaves it open here, but you'll attach it to the top of the backing. So it does show that everything is nicely encased in the zipper. The vinyl is encased, so there's no raw edges anywhere. And then when you put, the front to the back and do the binding, there's no raw edges either. Not that it would really matter, but it is a nice finish. So if you want to use it for a different type of bag, might be an option for you. I like the technique. So it's just plain old fabric and top stitching it on your zipper. And trust me, I'm not a very good zipper installer, and this works pretty good for me. So that's the story on the project bag. Following is the video, and I hope you don't have any problems figuring out what I was talking about. I hope there's not too many ums and ahs, because who wants to hear that? So I hope that you'll consider making a project bag. They're easy enough, and I'll try and link the instructions in the YouTube video down below. If not, I might just copy and paste the various instructions without the pictures. So enjoy, and happy sewing. Here are the basic cutting instructions and fabric requirements for making the bag. Part 1, cut your fabric 5 inches by width of fabric. From the 5-inch width of fabric that I have cut, I have the 1.5-inch strip that is folded in half, folded again and pressed, and we will make the handle for the bag. This is the top portion of the bag, the zipper part. It's cut at 5 inches. It's folded in half and pressed. This edge will be the finished edge for the zipper. And here is the subcut of the width of fabric, and that is the 3-inch strip that is folded in half, and will be folded in half again to encase the vinyl. So from one width of fabric, we have gotten the top portion of the front panel, the vinyl encasement, and then the handle. Here are my 3 sections pressed very well, and I use these clips to hold them together until I need them. That way they stay flat. And I don't know if you know this, but I found out the hard way that all the colored part is the curved section and the clear part is the flat, so it will lay flatter on the ironing board. So basically I press my iron in each section, take off my clip, press some more, put my clip back, to keep it nice and flat. This one works out very well because there's a little more fabric involved. You certainly don't need a handle that long, but I figured while I was at it, I might as well make it. Okay, here we are ready. So we have our top of the front. We have the bottom of the front. This is the vinyl that I bought at Walmart. It's a lot of vinyl. So you could probably share it with friends or make a bunch of project bags. This was about, well, it was less than $9. It's $8 and something cents. This is my 15-inch ruler. And I based my project bag on 15 inches because of the ruler, number one. And number two, because I think for a 12-inch block, a 15-inch bag would be perfect. I have a 22-inch zipper. You could get 20. I wouldn't get any smaller than that. I like to have a lot of wiggle room, and 22 inches is a lot of wiggle room. This is my fabric that I have quilted myself. It's a directional fabric, so make sure that you do not mess that up when you're assembling the bag, because I have done that. And then, and again, directional fabric for the back. Make sure that they're both going in the same direction. An all over design is perfect, or, you know, you can do a grid like I did before, all the way across. But a grid takes a little longer than this random free motion quilting, and really, who's going to see it? If you're not really good at free motion quilting, this would be a good place to practice. And when you've got all your stuff loaded in the bag, nobody's going to see your quilting. All right, in zipper installation, I have my finished 5-inch strip folded in half. The finished edge is butting up against the zipper teeth. You have an extra long strip, extra long zipper that'll be trimmed later. I don't want to have to deal with making sure that it is perfect. In a real world, I oversize and trim it back. So I've already started sewing here because, of course, I ran out of bobbin the first time. So in the real world here, we're going to start again somewhere where there's no stitching. Okay, so I have an open toe foot, regular foot, not a zipper foot. I have my zipper teeth butted up against the foot. I have my stitch on my Janome 7700 set at 3.5. So basically the center. And my length is 2.0. And if everything works out right, I will only have to stitch this once. And we'll be stitching in air again. So here we go. Keep your fabric butted up against the teeth along with your presser foot. And we just stitch along. My best stitching is done when there's no bobbin thread. Trust me, it was beautiful. All right, no tying off, no knotting, because we're going to cut it off anyway. So here we are. Here is our top portion. This is the very top portion of the bag. Trying to make sure it's straight. So next up, we're going to put the vinyl to the bottom portion and then attach that to the zipper. All right, here's my vinyl. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it's clear vinyl. This one's cut about 16 inches by 15. The 15 is on the top, so the width is always longer. So this would be towards the top of the bag where the zipper is going to be. So now I'm not using my Teflon foot on this because I'm not touching the vinyl, but you can put it on. It's totally up to you. But rather than switching out feet for the zipper until I need the vinyl foot, I'm going to use my regular foot. I've moved my my needle position over to 1.0. I'm going to have my presser foot running right along the fabric here to catch everything in. So the vinyl has been pushed up to the fold. It's been encased in the fabric, and now we're going to stitch it on. Sometimes when you're sewing it, you're going to kind of lift the vinyl because it tries to stick to the bed of your machine. So now this is ready to attach to the zipper top portion. So we're all encased, both sides. You can put another row of stitching. I don't think I will. I think the stitching close to the edge, it looks like it's about a 1/4 inch from the edge. It's hard to tell with the black thread on the black fabric. But next up, we're going to put the zipper on. Okay, I have my piece of zipper panel, top panel, my vinyl piece with the cased fabric, and now I'm doing the same thing. I have my regular foot on. I have my fabric butted up against the teeth, and I have my edge of my foot butted up against the zipper teeth also. My zipper, my stitch is at 7.0, which will give me a close enough to the zipper to make it so that I don't have to do another row of stitching. So here we go. Now again, we have to lift the vinyl up off the bed if it tends to stick, and you're kind of like lifting with one hand and positioning and holding the zipper with the other. If it is scary to you, then maybe you could put a couple of pins in, but it's hard to pin through that vinyl. I think, you know, for a project bag, it'll be good enough. So here we go. Again, lifting that vinyl. There we go. So here's your zipper installed. There's your top pull, and it's all in case. Now we attach it to that pre-quilted piece that you did so lovely, I'm sure. Here we go. All right, you can see that we have an excess of vinyl here on either side. We have an excess of vinyl here. And if we butt this right up against the top, that's the top. We got to make sure that our design is in the right position. So this is the top of the bag. We want it to be pretty all the way down. We have our handle that we'll put on later. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to put on the zipper, I'm going to put some stops like maybe right over here. You know, just stitch that down before I attach it to the backing, and stitch it down here. And then I'll come and I'll trim it a little bit, and then I'll clip it to the backing, and then we'll baste it all along before we put the binding and the handle. I'm not sure you can see it, but there's a little white mark there where I've stitched it back and forth, so that now I'm going to come back and trim all of this off. Same here, I move my zipper stop, my zipper pull to, and then I put a little bit of a white mark there, and I stitch that, so now that the zipper won't go flying off, because trust me, I've done that. And then I'll trim that, and then we'll clip it as best we can with a little, no pins, just clips, and then we'll baste it all around. And then we're almost ready to finish. This is the Ultra Glide foot that I use for my vinyl. I think you can use it for maybe leather, something like that, but it works very well for the vinyl. So I'm going to put it on my machine, and you can see that I clipped all the way around. It's been cut about a 1/4 of an inch. The vinyl section has been cut about a 1/4 of an inch bigger than the backing section, because I don't want to have to fudge it. Again, oversize, cut it back after. So I'll put my foot on and we'll get stitching. All right, I've got my, I don't know if you can see it, my little foot on, the white foot. And I have my stitch set at 7.0 for the width. So I'm going to do like an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way around, just to secure that, the front to the back, and then we'll bind it. And I also have my stitch length at 5.0, which is as big as I can get. So I'll base this sucker on, and then we'll finish it up. So here we go. I'm going to do a couple little extra stitches around that zipper section again, because I don't want it to come apart on me. Okay, we'll turn it. Lift my foot, turn it, and do the top. I'm running my foot again right along the edge of the bag. Okay, I can feel the bag edges there, so I'm going to stop a little ahead, turn it, and now I'm going to do the vinyl part. Again, when I get to this section of the zipper, I'm going to back stitch a little bit just to secure it a little more. Alright, now we're going to hit the vinyl, and you'll see that it does glide fairly well. You can see I have that little bit of, oh, you can't really see, but I have a little bit extra on either side, so there's about a quarter of an inch overhang of the vinyl. Alright, turn it. Section. Hopefully it'll be somewhat flat. There's a little bit of a bump there, but we'll try and flatten it out. Back stitch to hold it. All right. So there you are. It's secure now, and I don't know if you can see, I have a little bit of overhang there of the vinyl. Wait a minute. See, there's the vinyl right there. But that's going to be trimmed away now because I didn't want to have to struggle with it when I was basting it. See that corner? Now you see I kept a quarter of an inch all the way around, so this one shifted a little bit while I was stitching. And you can see that the quarter inch is somewhat there. Oh, there we go. There we are. Let's see how much bigger this section is. So, again, there's an overhang there. But, better safe than sorry. What's a quarter of an inch all the way around? It's not like we're going to be missing that on another project. I've cut my handle at about 10 inches long. You can do longer or shorter, whatever you want. I measure in 5 inches from each edge and attach it with a little clip. Now I'm going to stitch down, stitch to the back, so that when I flip over the binding, it'll encase it. So here we go. I still have my vinyl foot on, which isn't necessary, but I will take it off to do my binding. make sure that it's somewhat in the seam allowance over here. Just to hold it down for now. And you'll be able to carry that little sucker. All right, I've got my binding ready. I kept my binding at 2 1/4. Whatever you want to do, if you like a 2-inch binding or a 2.5-inch binding, whatever works for you. This is a 2 1/4, and I folded it in half. And I've also folded this at a half square triangle, 45 degree, whatever. Anyway, so that this is my start, and I will start sewing. I will put this down and I will start sewing maybe like 6-8 inches from this tip. So I'll start here, and then when I round the corner and finish, I'll encase it, and I won't have to really worry about doing some fancy meeting at the end. I know some people have no problem with it, but again, whatever's easiest for you. It's a project bag. It's not a quilt that's going into the Houston Quilt Show. It's just a project bag. So I'll show you at the end how I do, but basically it's attaching a binding like you would on a quilt. The only thing different is how I finish it. And I learned from somebody else on YouTube, and I thought, well, that's a pretty slick idea and good enough for a project bag. So we'll give it a whirl. I want to show you how I start. So this is my start position, and it's been folded over. I'm going to start sewing here a few inches away, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches. So I'm going to start sewing with the binding open like this. And I'll do a few stitches, maybe a couple inches, and then I'll stop, and then I'll fold the binding and then continue. As you can see, here is my binding. I started with the open binding, started stitching a little bit. Now I'm going to flip it to where it's folded, and I'm going to start stitching again and go all the way around. Do you think you're helping? I don't think you're helping. For a while you're causing me trouble. I'm going to go back to my video and show that I've rounded the corner, and I'm at the top now, and I'm going to make sure that my straps are down in the back so that I'll just stitch across like that. Mickey's not helping. Ugh. What did you do? What did you do now? Ugh. All right, I've just rounded the last corner of the project bag binding. And when I was looking at it, I remembered something that I had seen on that YouTube video with this binding technique or finishing technique, is that she had opened up that folded edge and she had stitched it down for a good part of the way, and then she flipped it over and then started stitching. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this tail, I'm going to fit it inside here, and then I'm going to stitch it again all the way and up to where I flipped it over. Back tack, and it'll be done. I'll show you the finished result in a moment. All right, here's the edge, my last corner. Here's my, I don't know if I can do it with my hand holding it. Here's that 45-degree angle that I've tucked this in, flipped this over, and stitched all the way down. Now I will flip it over and hand tack it. And then the bag is done. Here I've turned my binding to the back side and my lovely fabric. But if you can see, this is where I had that 45-degree angle folded, and this is the hole that is still there. I'm on the fence if I'm going to stitch it down or not. I did in my other ones and it was perfectly fine, but if you're using a fabric that's not so busy as this one, it will kind of show, but not by much. And really, it looks good enough. I'm all about the good enough. Hope you enjoyed the video. Finish it up, fill it up, move on.